What an interesting year to be Catholic, and not just because of the Assumption, but for a couple of other reasons I'll get into in a few short moments. But let's start with the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary, body and soul, into heaven. So each year, the Assumption is celebrated on August 15th and is celebrated as a solemnity. And what that means is a solemnity, it holds the highest place of importance in the liturgical calendar. And so other examples would be Christmas, the Immaculate Conception, All Saints' Day. So the Assumption is very serious. And as an interesting coincidence or not coincidence, this year the Assumption lands on Saturday. And Saturday has historically been the day devoted to the Blessed Virgin Mary and the glorious mysteries of the Holy Rosary, of which the Assumption is one. The last time the Assumption was on a Saturday was in the year 2020, and we all know how significant that year was. But getting back to the original question, why is the Assumption so serious? Well, the easiest answer is that it is a dogma of the Catholic Church, meaning that it must be held as an irrefutable part of the Holy Faith by all Catholics, like the Incarnation of Christ, the Trinity, the inerrancy of Scripture, and the Immaculate Conception. Now, the dogma was declared, not invented, in 1950 in Pope Pius XII's encyclical, and forgive me for this pronunciation, Munificentissimus Deus. For all those who speak Latin, I really apologize. From paragraph 12, he says, "Thus, from the universal agreement of the Church's ordinary teaching authority, we have a certain and firm proof demonstrating that the Blessed Virgin Mary's bodily Assumption into heaven, which surely no faculty of the human mind could know by its own natural powers, as far as the heavenly glorification of the virginal body of the loving Mother of God is concerned, is a truth that has been revealed by God, and consequently something that must be firmly and faithfully believed by all the Church." So, that's what defines it as a dogma, that it must be held by all Catholics. But why August 15? Well, that date was fixed by Emperor Maurice of the Eastern Roman Empire around the year 600. So the celebration of the Solemnity of the Assumption of Mary goes well back into the history of the Church. And furthermore, the Rosary, as far back as the 1300s, included the Assumption as one of the 5 glorious mysteries. So, the Assumption of Mary into heaven, body and soul, extends seamlessly from the dogma of the Immaculate Conception. So let's back up to Genesis chapter 3, verse 19, where Adam and Eve disobeyed God, and he pronounces this punishment. "And in the sweat of your face you shall eat bread till you return to the ground. For out of it you were taken. You are dust, and to dust you shall return." Now remember, death and decay were consequences of sin. And in Psalm 16, we are given a hint about Jesus and Mary in regards to their sinlessness and absence of bodily corruption. We read, "Therefore, my heart is glad, and my soul rejoices. My body also dwells secure, for you do not give me up to Sheol, nor let your godly one see the pit." So, as you remember, Jesus is the first fruits of the dead because he overcame death through his resurrection. But likewise, Mary is also a first fruit in that she is fully human, but completely sinless through God's grace and mercy. Therefore, she received the reward that should have been Eve's had she not sinned, and is the first of all created humanity to retain the union of her body and soul. And that is what we are destined for if we remain in a state of grace, receive the sacraments, and regularly strive for heroic virtue in this life. The Catechism, in paragraph 966, reads, "The Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary is a singular participation in her Son's resurrection and an anticipation of the resurrection of all Christians." So the Assumption connects to the Immaculate Conception, which connects to Mary's role as the new Eve. Pope Pius XII says it this way. Now, God has willed that the Blessed Virgin Mary should be exempted from this general rule. She, by an entirely unique privilege, completely overcame sin by her Immaculate Conception. And as a result, she was not subject to the law of remaining in the corruption of the grave, and she did not have to wait until the end of time for the redemption of her body. So now, here's my own personal interpretation. I believe that the proclamation of the dogma of the Immaculate Conception in 1854, followed by the proclamation of the dogma of the Assumption of Mary, are inseparable from the end times. So just as in Scripture the Virgin Mary brought forth Jesus, I believe that the increased and more urgent apparitions of the Blessed Mother over the past 200 years or so, combined with the declaration of these two dogmas, are a sign that we will experience in the next few decades everything prophesied, like persecution of the church as an institution and as individual persons, apostasy, signs and wonders, and so on. Now, on this channel, I have two other videos. The first is called June 3rd to 13th, 2026, and the other is called July 13th in Fatima. And I invite you to watch both of these because of the not so coincidental events we are experiencing in 2026, which I alluded to at the introduction of this video. Thank you for watching. Please return to rosary and scapular. The rosary is our weapon. The scapular is our garment of grace.